Hello and welcome to munshigiri.com. Today we will look at the subject of CA Final, Group 2, Paper 6, Information Systems Control and Audit. Let us look at the objective of this subject. It is to develop competencies, skill sets in evaluation of controls and relevant evidence gathering in an IT environment using IT tools and techniques for effective and efficient performance of accounting, assurance, and compliance services provided by a chartered accountant. So this statement, it needs to be broken down into multiple pieces to understand what exactly it means. And to do that, we need to look at the sections of it. So it says that we need to develop competencies and skill sets in particularly two areas, and those two areas are evaluation of controls and relevant evidence gathering, where as specifically is the third part of it is that we need to do these activities in an IT environment using IT tools and techniques. And for what? What is the specific reason for doing all that stuff up above? Is for effective and efficient performance of services which are provided by a chartered accountant. And we will look at all these terms one by one and see what they mean so that we get a better understanding of why we are studying this particular subject. Let us understand some of the terms which are used in this objective statement. And the first one in the list is effective. Effective means to be successful in producing a desired or intended result. For example, you have been asked to write a story on a particular topic, and there are other people who are doing the same job. They are also writing the story on that same topic. Now, what is the intention of it? Somebody who is asked to write a story, he may be asking for a good story, good quality content, good context to the particular topic. It should be having an impact on the reader. So those are the characteristics. That means that intended or desired result which we are looking for out of that story, and you could do that. So that means you are effective. The other term which we'll look at is efficient. Efficient means that we need to achieve maximum productivity with minimum wasted effort or expense. Now, in the context of the story writing, you are good in writing a story. You are good in doing the job, but you take 3 hours to write that story. However, somebody can do the similar job in 20 minutes. With the similar impact which you are making in 3 hours, he could do it in 20 minutes. With the similar content, with the similar quality, and that person is able to write that story in 20 minutes versus you writing it in 3 hours. So that means he is efficient in doing the job. He is effective, he is also efficient. And you are effective, but you are still not efficient because you are using 3 hours to do that job. And that means it is not a very good use of your skill, because it takes longer time for you to write that particular story. And that is why you see that these two terms come together in a particular sentence most of the time, that it needs to be effective as well as efficient without wasting much of our time and effort. And hence, to do our job effective and efficiently, we need to develop. So develop means that we need to grow in a particular area and do not stop where we are. So that means we need to develop and grow in that particular area. So we need to develop competencies and skill sets. Competencies means that it is an ability to do something successfully or efficiently. So that writing a story is a competency. It is, you could do that. So that is a competency. And skill set is a person's range of skills or abilities. So there could be multiple skills, right? You could have a good handwriting, you could frame the sentences in a good quality. So those are the skills which you can learn. And hence, when we talk about these two things, we need to see that a skill is an ability and capacity which is acquired by learning. And hence, we need to develop competencies and skill sets in particularly two areas, which are evaluation of controls and relevance evidence gathering. So when we look at evaluation of controls, it is specifically to find out if the existing checks and balances are good or require more improvements to avoid a potential adverse event. What it means is that we should be able to have that knowledge, that competency and skills to identify if the controls which are in place are good or do they require more improvements to avoid a potential adverse event. And when we say potential adverse event, it means that it could be theft, it could be fraud, it could be unethical practices. Those are the adverse things which can happen within an organization. And hence we should be able to evaluate the controls which are already in place and suggest any improvements on top of it to avoid any potential adverse event. The second area is to find out the fraud things which are happening or unethical things which are happening, right? So we need to gather relevant evidence, and we should be having a skill or competency to do that. And when we say relevant evidence gathering, that means we need to gather the information which provides a proof of truth, something which is happening which is probably not correct and needs attention, and hence we need to gather some evidence to prove that it is happening, and we should have the competency to do that. And hence we need to develop competencies and skill sets in evaluation of controls and relevant evidence gathering. And where these all evidence gathering or evaluation of control should happen, it should be happening in an IT environment using IT tools and techniques. And why we say IT environment is because there is increased usage of technology within the business, and most of your financial transactions are getting stored in a computer or server or a storage device somewhere, which can only be accessed by somebody who knows how to operate a computer, somebody who knows what tools and technologies can be used to get those information out of a computer system. And hence you need to understand this IT environment and also learn some of the IT tools and techniques by which you could gather this information for your evaluation or for your evidence. And exactly why we need to do all that stuff is because we have to be effective and efficient in performance of services of a chartered accountant, right? So when we talk about performance, and performance specifically is the accomplishment of a given task measured against a preset. There is a quality of standard that these are services which a chartered accountant provide, and this is a grade level. They are A grade professionals and they will do their job with a high quality, and hence it has to be effective and efficient performance of services of a chartered accountant. And there are specifically three services which a chartered accountant provides, and those are accounting, assurance and compliance. And when we say accounting, that means it is a recording or summarizing of financial transactions, analyzing, reporting of financial transactions. All those services comes into accounting services of a chartered accountant. Assurance means that it is a basically a positive declaration intended to give confidence. For example, you tell that when you audit something, you say that your accounts are good, your information is right, these are the best practices you have followed, and it makes sense to do this. And so you are providing a positive declaration. uh, you're actually putting a stamp to say that the information is correct and it is a solid information on based on which the board of directors or executive members can actually make a decision. The third services with which chartered accountant provide is the compliance services. And compliance means conforming to a rule. you know there is a specific policy or standard or law, and you are actually trying to make sure that everything which you do in an organization related to accounts or financial transactions is according to what the law says. And hence there is a compliance services which a chartered accountant provides. And hence this entire objective statement makes sense now, that a chartered accountant must develop a competency and skill in evaluation of controls and relevant evidence gathering in IT environment, using IT tools and techniques for effective and efficient performance of accounting, assurance, and compliance services provided by a chartered accountant. Thank you for your time.